He was a 14-year-old kid when he opened fire inside his high school in Paducah, Kentucky, killing 3 girls.
As soon as TJ Lane walked in, he was executing his plan, taking off his button-down shirt to reveal this.
Anyone, even teenagers, can commit heinous acts, sometimes so severe that they are tried and punished as adults. This phenomenon becomes evident in the tragic stories of young mass murderers who are thrust into a criminal justice system designed primarily for adults. Their crimes, often horrific and unimaginable, lead them to spend much, if not all, of their lives behind bars. So, what happens to these individuals once they are in prison? Let's take a closer look. Michael Carnail. Michael Carnail's story begins in 1997 at Heath High School in West Paducah, Kentucky. On December 1st, 1997, the then 14-year-old freshman arrived at school with a Ruger Mark II pistol hidden in his backpack. He joined a prayer circle in the school lobby before suddenly pulling out the stolen firearm and opening fire on his fellow students. The result was devastating. 3 students were killed and 5 others were wounded. Among the victims were 14-year-old Nicole Hadley, 17-year-old Jessica James, and 15-year-old Casey Steger. Their lives were tragically cut short, and the school, community, and nation were left reeling from the violence. Carnail's motivations remain the subject of speculation. Many believe that bullying and mental illness, including paranoid schizophrenia, played a significant role in his decision to commit such an atrocity. He later confessed to feeling isolated and mistreated, believing that his parents did not love him. After his arrest, Carnail was charged with murder, attempted murder, and burglary of the stolen firearm. Due to his age, he was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. His case became a national talking point, igniting discussions on gun control and mental health among young people. In prison, Carnail has been receiving mental health treatment, including medication for paranoid schizophrenia. However, concerns have arisen about whether he will continue his treatment if released. In September 2022, during a parole hearing, the board denied his request for parole, effectively changing his sentence to life without the possibility of release. This decision was influenced by testimonies from the families of the victims, as well as concerns over Carnail's commitment to managing his mental health outside of prison. Now confined within the Kentucky State Reformatory in LaGrange, Carnail faces a life marked by strict routines and isolation. This next case shows a deeply disturbing event that unfolded in Oklahoma City in 1986. Sean Sellers. At just 16 years old, Sellers, under the influence of drugs and anger, committed 3 brutal murders. His parents and a convenience store clerk were his victims, and the murders shocked the community and drew national attention. The brutality of his crimes ignited debates about the appropriate punishment for juvenile offenders, particularly the death penalty. Sellers' involvement in the occult and satanic rituals, combined with his drug use, played a significant role in his violent behavior. His case also brought attention to the issue of mental illness in the criminal justice system. Sellers was diagnosed with multiple personality disorder, also known as dissociative identity disorder. This disorder is characterized by the presence of 2 or more distinct identities within an individual. Sellers' defense argued that one of his alter personalities was in control at the time of the murders, raising questions about his culpability. Despite international attention and appeals for clemency, Sellers was sentenced to death. Human rights organizations and juvenile justice advocates called for his sentence to be commuted, but their efforts were unsuccessful. On February 4, 1999, Sellers was executed by lethal injection, bringing an end to his controversial case. TJ Lane. TJ Lane's name became infamous in 2012 following a mass shooting at Chardon High School in Ohio, when a 17-year-old student opened fire in the school cafeteria, killing 3 students and wounding others. Lane's actions were calculated, and he showed no remorse for his crimes. During his trial, he even wore a shirt with the word "killer" written on it, further enraging the victims' families and the public. Lane was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and his time in prison has been marked by continued defiance and rule-breaking. During his 18 months at Allen Correctional Institution, Lane accumulated multiple violations, including smoking marijuana and self-mutilation. Prison officials found 3 self-inflicted tattoos on Lane's chest, and he spent time in segregation as a result. His behavior in prison raised concerns about his mental well-being and whether he could ever be rehabilitated. Lane's defiance extended to his interactions with prison staff and teachers. He refused to comply with instructions, displayed insolence toward authority figures, and avoided participating in educational programs. Lane claimed that education made him ill, using it as an excuse to skip assignments. When allowed to draw in class, he produced disturbing images, including drawings of himself with the word killer, and cats doodled over maths assignments. Lane's time behind bars took a dramatic turn when he and 2 other inmates attempted a prison escape. They managed to scale a fence, briefly tasting freedom before being apprehended by authorities. The escape attempt raised questions about the security measures at Allen Correctional Institution and led to Lane's transfer to Ohio's only super-maximum prison in Youngstown. Super-maximum prisons are known for their strict security measures and ability to hold the most dangerous and high-profile inmates. These prisons are designed to isolate prisoners from the outside world, enforcing severe restrictions on their daily activities. One such case involves T.J. Lane, who, after a failed escape attempt, was transferred to Ohio's only super-maximum prison in Youngstown. Before the transfer, prison officers discovered contraband in Lane's cell, including clothing, books, and Pokemon cards. This discovery revealed that Lane had been leading a life of defiance within the prison system, raising questions about the effectiveness of prison security measures. Once Lane was moved to the super-maximum prison, his life changed dramatically. He was confined to a small, secure cell and was allowed only minimal interaction with the outside world. The cell, no larger than a parking space, was designed for maximum security, with thick walls and surveillance cameras constantly monitoring his every move. Lane was forced to spend 23 hours a day in his cell, with just 1 hour for recreation. During that 1 hour, Lane was only allowed into a small outdoor area, surrounded by high walls and wire mesh, where he could exercise alone. Even here, group activities or socialization were strictly prohibited. The purpose of such extreme isolation was to break the spirit of the most dangerous inmates like Lane. The environment was designed to make the prisoner feel the full weight of their actions, enforcing a routine that left little room for personal expression or contact with others. Lane's cell contained only the bare essentials: a bed, a toilet, and a small desk. He had no personal belongings, and even his contact with prison staff was limited. Guards would deliver meals and conduct routine checks, but personal interaction was kept to a minimum. This extreme isolation had a severe impact on Lane's mental well-being. The lack of social contact and meaningful activities caused him to struggle with feelings of loneliness, despair, and frustration. Over time, this constant solitude likely exacerbated any existing mental health issues, as he had no way to process or deal with his emotions. While T.J. Lane's story focuses on the severe isolation of the super-maximum prison system, another equally chilling case is that of Zachary Davis. Zachary Davis. In August 2012, Davis bludgeoned his mother to death with a sledgehammer and attempted to set fire to his house in an effort to kill his brother. His actions were brutal, shocking the community and leaving behind a trail of devastation. Zachary was sentenced to 60 years for his mother's murder, with an additional 20 years for the attempted arson and attempted first-degree murder. His sentence effectively ensured that he would spend the rest of his life in prison. Even though Davis was only 15 years old when he committed these heinous crimes, he was tried as an adult. His lawyer, Randy Lucas, planned to appeal the sentence based on a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that opposed mandatory life sentences without parole for juveniles. Lucas believed that, because of Zachary's young age, he should be given the chance for parole and rehabilitation. However, the legal system proved challenging, as the courts consistently denied appeals for a new trial. As a result, the possibility of parole remained uncertain for Zachary, leaving him to face a life behind bars. While imprisoned, Davis's life became defined by the same isolation and routine that TJ Lane experienced. Davis had to navigate the dangerous social dynamics within the prison, all while grappling with the mental toll of his crimes. Over time, regret and remorse began to seep into his consciousness. He wondered if things could have been different if he had received help for his deteriorating mental health earlier in his life. Zachary's mental decline began after the death of his father in 2007, a loss that shattered his sense of stability. Although his mother, Melanie, sought therapy for him, the therapy abruptly ended, and Zachary soon spiraled into isolation and dark thoughts. Zachary's mental health issues were apparent even before his crime. He had told therapists that he heard his father's voice, and he became obsessed with violent themes, immersing himself in apps about torture devices and serial killers. His notebooks were filled with disturbing quotes, such as, "You can't spell slaughter without laughter." These were signs of a mind grappling with intense darkness, but unfortunately, the help he needed came too late. In the aftermath of his crime, Davis showed a shocking lack of remorse during his trial. In a jailhouse interview, he admitted to feeling nothing when he killed his mother. His cold detachment shocked those in the courtroom, and Judge D. David Gay labeled him as evil, someone who had embraced the darkness within himself. This perspective was echoed by many who followed the case, but others, like Zachary's grandmother, Gail Crone, took a different view. Gail Crone pleaded for understanding and compassion during Zachary's sentencing trial. She believed that if Zachary had received proper mental health treatment, the tragedy could have been avoided. Gail argued that many people in Zachary's life, including teachers and guidance counselors, had failed to recognize his struggles and offer the support he needed. Her plea was not to excuse Zachary's actions, but to humanize him and make others aware of the complex factors that contributed to his crimes. In her courtroom testimony, Gail revealed the strained relationship between herself and Melanie, which worsened after the death of Zachary's father. The family's move to a new location further isolated Zachary from his support system. So, what do you think about this? Comment down your thoughts right now, and while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well.